Of the 20,000 total Major League Baseball players in history, these 5 are the most universally disliked players by fans. And to start it off is arguably the most hated player from the Big Apple. A-Rod's flashy and glamorous career led to him being one of the most popular baseball stars in history. But all of this came at the cost of him being a complete a-hole.
Describe Alex Rodriguez.
Insecure. Greedy.
Bag. Thank you.
Even though he led the Yankees to see a mountain of postseason success, his on-field antics and childish attitude made him easily disliked by opposing fans. For example, in Game 6 of the 2004 ALCS, A-Rod hit a ball down the first base line that was easily picked up by the Red Sox pitcher Bronson Arroyo. Arroyo reached for the tag and A-Rod slapped the ball out of his glove. Somehow the umpire called him safe, which allowed Derek Jeter to easily score from first. After a discussion, they called A-Rod out and put Jeter back to first base. Even though the media destroyed him for trying to cheat his way on base, the ultimate revenge came from losing Game 7 of the ALCS. However, his most controversial cheating scandal was about to become public. In 2009, A-Rod admitted to using performance-enhancing drugs during his earliest days with the Texas Rangers. This scandal alone is what made various fans and even players in the league feel cheated against and betrayed. If he wasn't one of the most hated players prior to this announcement, he is now. And since then, it's only gotten worse. Rangers manager Tom Hicks was quoted in saying, "I certainly don't believe that if he's now admitting that he started using when he came to the Texas Rangers, why should I believe that it didn't start before he came to the Texas Rangers?" Even the former United States President Barack Obama claimed that, quote, "If you're a fan of Major League Baseball, I think it tarnishes an entire era to some degree." However, for many fans, A-Rod's legitimacy never even existed in the first place. Since his PED announcement, he's made a solid effort to clean up his act and showcase respect and integrity to the game of baseball. Nevertheless, his past actions will always land him a seat in the most hated players category. A-Rod was the most publicized and easily hateable player in the early 2000s, but in the 2010s, that title belonged to Bryce Harper. At a young age, Bryce Harper proved that being ridiculously good at baseball and having a cocky attitude makes you a massive target for hate. When Harper was just 16 years old, he was featured on the cover of Sports Illustrated, referred to as baseball's chosen one, was awarded High School Player of the Year by Baseball America, and allegedly hit a ball 570 feet in his freshman year of high school. When he moved on to college at 17 years old, he had undoubtedly the best collegiate season of any player on earth. He batted .443 with over a 500 on-base percentage and hit a ridiculous 31 home runs in a single season, breaking the previous home run record at Southern Nevada, which was only 12. This level of talent at such a young age came with major criticism, especially since he played with an arrogant and selfish attitude that he brought with him to the big leagues. He once swung and missed at a pitch for strike 3 and got mad at the umpire, resulting in an immediate ejection from the game, which quickly became his new norm. In 2015, he got rung up on an outside pitch that was most definitely a strike, but he thought otherwise and got pissed at the umpire, who once again tossed Harper without hesitation. The opposing crowd reacted like this. In 2014, Bryce Harper hit a moonshot off of Hunter Strickland and stared at the ball before flipping his bat. Strickland didn't like this, so when they faced each other 3 years later, Harper got drilled with a 98-mile-per-hour fastball and a massive fight broke out on the mound. His 7-year career with the Nationals was extremely successful. He gathered even more attention from fans who thought he was a self-centered player, but his on-field antics began to slow down after he was traded to the Phillies in 2019. Philadelphia sports fans enjoy Bryce Harper's play style and intensity, and since then, he's become more of a hero to baseball fans that previously viewed him as a jerk. While Harper can be described as egotistical, Nyjer Morgan's best description is being borderline crazy. There is no baseball player on earth who had as many foolish on-field moments as Nyjer Morgan. In 2010, he dropped a fly ball in center field, threw his glove down, and walked away from the live baseball. The left fielder had to grab the ball and throw it in, but by then Adam Jones already had an easy inside-the-park home run. He's had some of the strangest televised interviews in the history of baseball.
Just seeing a pitch up and then just trying to tickle it into the outfield. Somewhere I can just work my hands. That's it. Gotta go. Ow!
Yeah! I don't know. I don't boss for orders right now. Thank you, everybody. I'm out. I gotta go.
Morgan was once called out on this close play at first, and he lost his mind when the umpire ejected him from the game. In 2011, Nyjer Morgan made a great running catch at the center field fence and heard some trash talk coming from the opposing fans. He trash talked back to them and eventually gave them the middle finger. He proceeded to talk back to the fans for the entire half inning. However, his worst confrontation with an opposing fan happened a few months later when a Reds fan blocked Morgan from catching a fly ball. Nyjer Morgan actually pushed the fan with his glove to show his frustration. He once charged the mound after a pitcher threw behind him and got absolutely clocked by the first baseman, starting a massive fight on the pitcher's mound. When Morgan got up to leave, the announcer said this:
"This guy has some serious problems. If Major League Baseball doesn't do something about Nyjer Morgan, then they're coming up short."
All of this is more than enough for him to be one of the most hated players by fans of any major league team. While Nyjer Morgan acted like a complete buffoon on the field, he never received a permanent ban from Major League Baseball, but Pete Rose did. Pete Rose is listed on ESPN as the number 34 best player in the history of baseball. He's led the whole league in hits since 1985 with over 4,200. He even made a ridiculous 17 All-Star teams in his career, held a 44-game hit streak, and had the 15th longest career of all time with 24 years. But he also did something bad enough to be completely banned from Major League Baseball and disregarded for the Hall of Fame. In 1989, an investigation conducted by the MLB found that Pete Rose had been betting on baseball games that his own team was playing in. He allegedly never bet against his team, which evidently never helped his cause. Betting on games is highly frowned upon in the big leagues, and for Pete Rose, this resulted in a permanent ban from Major League Baseball. He publicly admitted to betting on games when he was a Reds player and even when managing the team. Pete Rose received plenty of criticism when the news went public, adding more hate to his name after his unbelievably successful career. But believe it or not, it was about to get worse. Just a year later, he was found guilty on 2 charges of tax evasion. Revenue he earned from gambling on horses wasn't accounted for in his tax returns, resulting in a 5-month sentence in prison and a $50,000 fine. Pete Rose was a good example of being a respectable player on the field, but had issues off the field that made him despised by even a casual baseball enthusiast.
I don't think there's anybody in the country knows more about baseball than me, and I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just telling you the truth.
His actions got him permanently banned from Major League Baseball, but Pete Rose was not the most successful player to be denied from the Hall of Fame. To claim that Barry Bonds is the most hated player of all time is an understatement. He currently sits alone at the top of the all-time home run leaderboard with 762, making him one of 4 players in history that have over 700 home runs. However, his legacy and credibility were completely destroyed by an allegation that changed the baseball world forever. He tested positive for an anabolic steroid that went undetected during doping tests, and was even under federal indictment for allegedly lying under oath about the usage of performance-enhancing drugs. The baseball world was in complete outrage. Watching a player reach levels of success never seen before is an exciting feat, but when the news breaks out that proves they cheated, people become angry. Judging by the difference in his size after steroid use, it's clear most fans weren't actually surprised when the news about his PED scandal went public. Bonds was easily the most publicized steroid user during the era, but it wasn't just his steroid use that made him extremely unlikable. When a journalist asked Bonds a question closely related to taking steroids, he responded by saying,
Next question, because it was stupid.
After Bonds became the home run king, a reporter asked him if his personal trainer that allegedly gave him the steroids was able to make it to the game that night.
A lot of people here tonight who helped you get here, but one person who's not able to be here is Greg Anderson. If he happens to be watching TV right now, is there a message you'd like to send out to him? Looking around, there's a lot of people.
Just another negative question.
He's gotten into numerous verbal altercations with his teammates and coaches. Like in 1991 during spring training, Pirates manager Jim Leyland confronted Bonds about his misbehavior. Bonds proceeded to cuss out Jim Leyland, and Jim Leyland did the exact same thing. Barry Bonds is an easily hateable character who cheated his way to the top of the home run leaderboard, while also making 14 All-Star teams, 12 Silver Slugger awards, 7 MVPs, and the single-season home run record at 73. People argue that Bonds deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, even though he took steroids. But whether he makes it there or not, he's without a doubt the most hated player in baseball history.